My son Logan thought he was using heroin, but what he got was something else entirely. One dose laced with illicit fentanyl and xylazine, and it took his life. He didn't get a pill delivered to his door. He wasn't scrolling Snapchat when he made that decision. But the poisoned supply chain that killed him, that does reach young people every day through phones, apps, and digital dealers who never show their face. I'm Doug Ballinger. I'm Logan's dad. And I've spent the past few years trying to understand how we got here, how a generation of kids ended up dying from what they didn't know they were taking. Today on Logan's Voice, we're talking about two powerful forces: social media platforms being used as drug markets, and the global greed fueling the flood of fentanyl, xylazine, and carfentanil into our streets. This isn't just about addiction, it's about deception. It's about how drug cartels and dealers are using tech and chemistry to trap our kids, sometimes before they even know what addiction is. Let's talk about what's really going on. The new trap is digital. You used to have to meet someone behind a gas station or in a dark alley or know somebody who knew somebody. Now, all you need is Wi Fi. Apps like Snapchat, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Telegram, the ones our kids use every day, have become the new corner on the block. Dealers are setting up fake profiles using emojis like a little square blue with a P in it for Percocet, or a red and yellow capsule for pills, or a skull for fentanyl, and advertising it straight to teens. The message disappears in seconds, the trail vanishes, and just like that, a transaction is made. One pill, one hit, one line, except that's not what they think it is. These aren't recreational drugs. These are chemical cocktails cooked in a lab, often with zero quality control. You think you're buying a perk? You might get a fake pill made with fentanyl and xylazine. And xylazine is a veterinary tranquilizer that doesn't respond to Narcan. And the worst part, it's not just strangers. Sometimes it's a classmate, a teammate, someone who just resells a few pills they got online, not even knowing what they're passing on could be lethal. Kids today aren't just dying because they're trying to get high. They're dying because they're being sold a lie wrapped in a snap message. Parents, if you think your kid would never, please think again. These dealers don't just find users, they create them. They exploit curiosity, loneliness, stress, and pain. And they don't care what it costs you. They care what it makes them. Let's pause here for a second, because I know this stuff is terrifying, especially if you're a parent or grandparent hearing it for the first time. But fear isn't helpful if it leads to silence. What helps is information and being present in your kid's digital world. So here are a few things you can start doing today. Learn the codes they're using. Drug dealers on apps use emojis to advertise. They have a little pill for pills. They have a blue square with a P in it for Percocet. A plug like on the end of a lamp cord for a dealer. A little skull for fentanyl. A green dragon for heroin. Or a blue diamond for meth. If you see an odd emoji combos or slang in messages, ask questions. Turn off disappearing messages. Apps like Snapchat allow messages to vanish in seconds. Go into settings and disable that feature where possible, or limit who your child can message. Use monitoring tools. Apps like Bark, Custodio, and Canopy. They can alert you to dangerous conversations or flagged keywords. They don't replace parroting, but they're a second set of eyes, oftentimes in places parents don't see. And talk about it early and often. Don't wait for the talk. Make it many talks. Let your kids know they can tell you anything without being punished. Be curious, not accusatory. And know the signs: isolation, secrecy, sudden changes in behavior, or new slang. Trust your gut. And if you ever find pills, assume they're counterfeit and potentially deadly. Look, I didn't get this right when Logan was a teenager. I thought I was paying attention. I thought I was protecting him. But the rules have changed since then, and nobody warned us. That's why I'm telling you now. This isn't about bad parenting. It's about a world that's gotten really dangerous really fast. And the only way to keep our kids safe is to stay informed and stay involved. Let's talk about how this poison gets here in the first place. Because Logan didn't die from a bag of heroin. He died from a chemical cocktail laced with fentanyl and xylazine, which is a horse tranquilizer not even meant for humans. But Logan never ordered xylazine. He didn't ask for fentanyl. That was the decision of someone upstream, someone looking to cut corners and boost profit. And sadly, this story starts long before it hits our streets. It starts in China. Chemical labs, some legal, some illegal, produce the precursor chemicals used to make fentanyl. These aren't mom and pop operations. They're industrial, organized, sophisticated, and often protected by loopholes or lax enforcement. And the chemicals used to come straight to the United States to be mixed in illegal labs here. But then when we restricted the importing of those precursor chemicals under whatever label they might have been at, China found another way around. They started sending it to Mexico. And cartels in Mexico received the raw chemicals. They processed them in makeshift labs and pressed them into pills or mixed them into powders, often using cheap additives like xylazine or even caffeine. No regulation, no testing, no conscience. They don't care about safety, they care about strength. A stronger high means a higher chance of addiction. Addiction means repeat customers until it kills them. And once it's mixed up, then it's smuggled into the U.S. through ports, borders, even the U.S. Postal Service. Once it crosses over, it hits the streets in cities, suburbs, and small towns in disguise. And here's the part that gets me every time. By the time it reaches your child, it's already passed through a global network of people who knew it could kill and sent it anyway. This isn't just a drug crisis, it's an international poisoning pipeline driven by profit at every level. It's a broken system where a handful of people get rich while families like mine get shattered. Logan never stood a chance against that supply chain. He thought he was using heroin. What he got was death in disguise. Now let's follow the money, the global greed behind the crisis. Every time I hear a politician say this is a health crisis, I want to scream. Because yes, there are people who struggle with addiction, but this isn't just a public health issue. This is a business model built on poisoning people for profit. In China, chemical manufacturers make millions producing the ingredients used in illicit fentanyl. Some of them even label these chemicals as research compounds to skirt international laws. In Mexico, cartels take these ingredients and turn them into fake pills, powders, or liquids, often for pennies per dose. 1 kilo of fentanyl can make 500,000 pills, with a street value in the tens of millions. Dealers here in the United States can sell a single fake Percocet for $10 to $30 a pop. That means a high school kid can make a few $100s in a weekend and not even realize he's part of a lethal chain. Now let's zoom out a little bit. Pharmaceutical companies in this country once flooded the market with opioids, and they got rich. Social media companies now host drug dealers. and look the other way. Shipping companies move the poisons across borders without consequence. Everyone's making money. Everyone's passing the blame. And families like mine are burying their kids. And here's what makes me sick. My son's life, Logan's life, was worth more dead than alive to this system because a dead customer doesn't stop the flow. There's always another kid, another click, another pill. And until we stop treating this like a series of bad decisions and start treating it like what it is, premeditated, profit driven homicide, nothing will change. You want to stop this crisis? Follow the money and then ask yourself who's getting rich and who's getting buried. And here's the missing piece in the fight: mental wellness. We can shut down the supply chain, we can close borders, seize shipments, pass tougher laws, and we should. We absolutely should. But if we don't deal with the demand and the reason for the demand, if we don't deal with why so many young people are seeking escape in the first place, then this fight will never end. Because the real root of this cause isn't just what's being sold, it's why they're buying it. Every poison pill starts with pain, and not just physical pain. I'm talking about emotional pain. The kind that builds when no one's listening, the kind that festers in silence, especially in our kids. Logan was funny, smart, and full of charm, but he also carried pain. He wanted relief from the weight he felt inside, from anxiety, expectations, pressure, trauma. And like so many others, he turned to something that promised peace and delivered poison. We're not just in a drug crisis, we're in a mental health crisis. Our kids are overwhelmed, overstimulated, undersupported. They've been taught to push it down, hide the cracks, act fine. And when they finally reach out, it's often not to a therapist, it's to a drug dealer, to a screen, to a counterfeit escape. So, absolutely, let's keep fighting to stop the flow of these deadly substances. Let's hold every link in the supply chain accountable. But let's also start where it begins, in the hearts and minds of our children. Until we value mental wellness as much as we value test scores, until we create safe spaces to talk about fear, pain, and pressure, until we normalize therapy, self care, and emotional expression, this crisis will keep taking more lives. Let's raise a generation that doesn't have to numb their pain to feel okay. Let's make healing louder than shame. Let's start the conversation before the crisis. Because the war on drugs, it won't be won with arrest alone. It'll be won when our kids stop needing the drugs in the first place. This is the fight of our time. Logan didn't die because he was weak. He didn't die because he made some bad choices. He died because the world he lived in was saturated with poison, and nobody warned him just how deadly it was. And I can't change that. But I can tell his story, and I will tell his story. And I can fight like hell so your family, your child, your community doesn't end up where mine did. We talked today about the way dealers are using apps to get to our kids, about how fentanyl, xylazine, and carfentanil are flooding across borders through supply chains built on greed, and about the broken systems, tech platforms, cartels, corporations, all making money off the backs of our children's lives. But underneath all of it is pain, silent pain, invisible pain. That's what's driving the demand. That's what we have to start treating if we want to turn this tide. So here's a call to action. Start the conversation. Talk to your kids. Check their phones. You're the parent, not from a place of punishment, but from love. Be present in their digital world. Learn the signs. Educate yourself on street slang, the apps, the substances. Awareness can save a life. Advocate for mental health resources in your schools, in your communities, at your state capitol. We need to treat mental wellness as essential, not optional. Hold platforms and lawmakers accountable. Demand that social media companies stop enabling drug trafficking. Push for laws that treat poisoning as the homicide it is. And share this episode. Let Logan's voice echo far beyond this moment because someone out there needs to hear this before it's too late. This is the fight of our time. And it doesn't start on Capitol Hill or in a courtroom. It starts in your home, around kitchen tables, in schools, on podcasts like this. So let's fight together for Logan, for every child taken far too soon. Let's fight for the ones we can still save. Thank you for listening, and thank you for standing with me. I'm Doug Ballinger. I am Logan's voice. I am Logan's dad, and I will not be silent.